Chicago's O'Hare has been the beating heart of global aviation for decades. It connects around 37 million passengers to 6 continents every year. But here's something that might shock you. The O'Hare infrastructure hasn't seen a major upgrade in over 25 years. However, that's all changing in a massive way. We're talking about the largest capital improvement program in the airport's entire history. A project so big, so transformative, it's going to change how millions of people travel through Chicago. Today, I'll explain everything that we need to know about this $12 billion investment called O'Hare 21. We'll discuss the revolutionary global terminal design and all the challenges that have airlines actually fighting in federal court. All right, let's get into it. Let's start by talking about what O'Hare 21 is. When you hear $12.1 billion airport project, it's easy to think that it's just another construction job. But this is actually so much bigger than that. O'Hare 21 is the most complete modernization program in the airport's entire history. When this project was first approved by the city of Chicago and its airline partners all the way back in 2018, it was budgeted at $8.5 billion. Now, of course, due to inflation, construction cost increases, and a bigger scope of work, we're looking at $12.1 billion. That's a 42% increase, and we'll talk more about those cost overruns in just a bit. But here's what makes this project revolutionary. Before O'Hare 21, no major terminal improvements had happened at O'Hare in more than 25 years. Think about that for a second. Terminal 2 was operating at 60 years old under completely outdated design standards. The baggage systems were 3 decades old, with inefficient post-9/11 fixes just patched on top. Even the walking tunnels dating back to the 1970s were suffering from water leakage during heavy rainfall. Not only that, but the Federal Aviation Administration, or FAA, says that O'Hare is going to experience 20% growth in passengers by the end of this decade. Without this new project, this airport simply couldn't handle that kind of volume with the infrastructure that we have today. And hold that thought, because I'll go back to this later on. So the scope of this transformation extends over a 15-year timeline. So it's going to stretch into the 2030s. But we're talking about a complete overhaul from the moment you step out of your car at the curb all the way to when you board the plane at the gate. New terminals, new runways, new baggage systems, new security checkpoints, new customs facilities, plus technology that's going to make traveling through O'Hare feel like stepping into the future. But in just a second, I'll show you exactly what we already have in the present. Before I do that, here's the thing that sets this apart from other airport projects around the country. This modernization is being paid for entirely through airport revenue bonds backed by airline fees, passenger facility charges, and federal grants. That means no taxpayer dollars are being used for this project. So if you're from Illinois, take a sigh of relief because I know we get taxed enough as it is. But what exactly are we talking about here, and what can you expect? Before I show you, make sure you're subscribed to this channel. I bring you regular deep dives, market updates, and more relevant information about Chicago's real estate world. So stick around and you might just get a tip that'll completely change your buying or your selling strategy. Now let's talk about what's been completed. Some people think that O'Hare 21 is just another cool plan on paper, but construction has been happening for years, and we've seen some major improvements open to the public. The centerpiece of what's been delivered so far is runway 9C-27C. That's a mouthful. It opened in November 5th, 2020 as part of a $1.3 billion in runway improvements. At over 11,000 feet long and 200 feet wide, it's the airport's second largest runway. It can accommodate all aircraft types, including the Airbus A380, but here's the game-changing part. It allows up to 4 simultaneous landings in good weather and reduces bad weather delays by as much as 95%. If you've ever been stuck at O'Hare during a storm, you know how incredible that improvement is going to be for travelers. And compared to what's coming in the global terminal, this is just a warm-up. The other major completion was the Terminal 5 expansion, which was completed on budget in 2023 after a $1 billion investment. This project has actually transformed the international passenger experience at O'Hare. We're talking about 10 new gates and an additional 350,000 square feet of terminal space. So what does this mean? It's a nearly 85% increase in passenger area. The renovation also included upgraded baggage handling systems and expanded security checkpoints, plus a new parking garage. But there's more to it. Terminal 3's Concourse L extension added 3 additional gates at a cost of $70 million. These were expected to be completed by late 2024. The expansion increases apron and taxi lane space and modernizing the passenger hold areas. And what makes this expansion particularly significant is that these are the first new gates built at O'Hare in over 20 years. So when people ask me if O'Hare 21 is happening, I can point to these concrete improvements that passengers are experiencing every single day. The runway is operational. Terminal 5 is serving international travelers, and American Airlines is using at least 2 of the new Concourse L gates right now. All right, now let's see what else O'Hare 21 21 has in store, and what does this actually mean for Chicago in practical terms? Here's where things really get exciting. Honestly, I think this is the part of O'Hare 21 that's going to blow your mind. The crown jewel of this entire modernization program is the O'Hare Global Terminal. This terminal is scheduled for construction beginning in 2026, with completion targeted by 2032. We're talking about a terminal area plan budgeted at $7.1 billion that includes a global terminal spanning 2.2 million square feet. That's more than double the size of the current terminal too. Can you think about that for a second? But here's what makes this terminal revolutionary from a design standpoint. Studio O'Hare designed this terminal with a distinctive Y-shaped configuration. It actually celebrates Chicago's history as a city shaped by the lines of movement by referencing the intersection of the Chicago River's 3 branches. The idea is to create a central hub at the heart of the airport. At the point where the branches meet, the dramatic oculus will welcome visitors under a 6-pointed glass skylight. Its geometry references the Chicago flag, which is pretty cool. From a functional standpoint, the global terminal will combine domestic and international operations, allowing easy connections under one roof. Also, it eliminates the need for passengers to ride the People Mover to Terminal 5. So this unique facility will feature new gates, upgraded baggage systems, advanced security technology, plus expanded immigration and customs areas. You'll see some other improvements in the passenger experience in a sec. Now, supporting the global terminal are 2 satellite concourses that will add a combined 1.3 million square feet of gate and amenity space. Satellite Concourse 1, designed by Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill with the Ross Barney architects, broke ground in March 2023. It's scheduled for completion in 2028 with 19 new gates. And Satellite Concourse 2, which has been originally planned for 2028, but has been delayed to 2034 as part of a timeline prioritizing the global terminal. But both concourses will connect via underground pedestrian tunnels for seamless passenger and baggage transfers. The 25% increase in gate capacity will enable United Airlines and American Airlines to expand their hubs while accommodating growth from international alliance partners. This is the nation's first global alliance hub design, and it's one of the reasons why this project is literally groundbreaking. But hang on just a sec, I haven't even told you about the actual passenger experience improvements yet. The modern terminals will feature expanded concessions with Chicago's classic culinary scene, premium lounges, and enhanced wayfinding systems. New security and customs facilities will also reduce processing times dramatically. So traveling in O'Hare is about to become a lot easier for us. But what about the benefits you're getting that you hadn't really anticipated? Let me tell you about them. So why does this project matter so much for Chicago's future? The truth is, the impacts go far beyond just making it easier to catch a flight. From an economic standpoint, O'Hare 21 is going to be a massive game changer. Economic analysts shows that this program will create nearly 95,000 total job years by 2033. This works out to around 9,500 jobs per year during the construction phase alone. And here's another multiplier effect that's also exciting. Every single dollar invested in this project is expected to generate more than $2 in economic output. Once the modernization is completed, enhanced airport operations will boost O'Hare's operating revenues by $280 million annually and grow the broader Chicago metropolitan economy by more than $550 million a year. State and local tax collections are expected to increase by over $63 million annually. This means this investment is going to keep paying dividends for decades to come. Speaking of decades, I'll tell you about the challenging timelines we're facing right after this. The economic impact isn't the only story here, guys. The modernization positions Chicago to compete more effectively with other global hubs that have surpassed O'Hare in recent years. We're talking about destinations, daily departures, and overall capacity. So cities like Atlanta, LA, and international hubs like Dubai and Singapore have really been heavily investing in their airports, while O'Hare was operating with decades-old facilities. Well, not anymore. Remember that 20% growth in passenger traffic by 2030 that I mentioned? Well, without O'Hare 21, Chicago would risk losing its position as a premier global aviation hub. But with this modernization, we're setting ourselves up for success and leading this industry for the next several decades. From a traveler experience perspective, this transformation will make O'Hare feel like a completely different airport. The integration of domestic and international operation means passengers won't have to navigate between terminals for connections. New security and customs facilities will reduce processing times. Improved food courts and amenities will serve millions of tourists and locals every year. For Chicago's residents, this modernization represents a massive upgrade in connectivity to the rest of the world. More gates mean more flight options, more destinations, and potentially more competitive pricing as airlines expand their operations at O'Hare. Now let's be completely honest about the challenges with O'Hare 21. Where there's pros, there's always cons. And this project has its share of controversies and setbacks. In Chicago, no way, never would have thought. The biggest challenge has been the cost and overruns and time delays. When O'Hare 21 was first announced in 2018, The budget was set at $8.5 billion with a completion target of 2026. Now, of course, the big COVID came and probably threw a wrench in all those plans, right? As I mentioned earlier, we're now looking at a $12.1 billion budget and completion dates that have been pushed back to somewhere between 2030 and 2034. So that's a 42% increase in the budget and delays of up to 4 to 8 years, depending on which part of the project that we're talking about. The cost increases are mostly due to inflation, supply chain disruptions, and higher material costs, plus a larger project scope of work. And there's also been a controversial legal battle brewing between the American Airlines and the city of Chicago over gate allocation procedures. So in 2025, so earlier this year, American filed a federal lawsuit claiming the city violated the 2018 airline use and lease agreement by reallocating gates in favor of United Airlines. This dispute is around a redetermination process that would give United 5 additional preferential use gates. All this while reducing American's allocations by 4 effective later in 2025. So let's see how that goes. From a financing standpoint, while no taxpayer dollars are being used directly for construction, Chicago is looking for approval to sell up to $4.3 billion in municipal bonds. They need this to fund the infrastructure projects and refinance existing obligations. Credit rating agencies have assigned strong ratings to O'Hare's revenue bonds. Senior lien bonds receive an A+ rating despite Chicago's broader fiscal challenges. There's also been construction sequencing challenges that forced revisions in project order. So for example, the satellite Concourse 2 delay, while this makes sense from a project management standpoint, it means passengers won't see the full benefits of O'Hare 21 until the 2030s. So despite these challenges, credit rating agencies and industry analysts are hopeful about the project's long-term viability. The airport's revenue streams remain strong, backed by those airline leases and federal funding commitments. So we'll enjoy the airport upgrades that are already here while anticipating the completion of the entire project. So, as you've seen, this $12 billion modernization process is going to completely transform how millions of people experience Chicago. Also, how our city connects to the whole world. Despite these challenges that I discussed, O'Hare 21 will create an explosive number of jobs and boost our economy by over $500 million annually. It's the infrastructure foundation Chicago needs to lead global aviation for the next century. So if you enjoyed this video, do me a huge favor and hit that like button. Then go ahead and email me directly at john@cintichrealestate.com. Let's talk about your real estate goals over here. I combine innovative tech with a completely personalized approach. We can get you started on building your legacy today. And coming up next, I'm taking you inside LaGrange, a charming historic village that's quickly becoming Chicago's most coveted secret. You'll find out why this walkable community might just be the perfect blend of a century-old character and modern convenience that your family's been searching for. I'll see you in the next video.